Hey folks, Jim McCallum here. You may think that I have in my hand a dozen white eggs. Not so. Take a look behind me and you'll see at least 1,000 dozen golf balls. We're here with Bob Duke. We're here in his garage and at his home. Bob is with the Wounded Warrior Project. He has a great story to tell, so stay tuned with us as we explore that. Additionally, we'll be visiting the Fort Caswell Rifle Range for an historic story that has been relatively untold until now. So stay with us as we explore our hometown. All right, I'm here with Bob Duke. Bob is with the Wounded Warriors Project, Golf Balls as Gifts. Did I get that right, Bob?
You got that right.
All right. Bob, you have a great story to tell, and part of it is right behind you, but much more of it is upstairs in your attic. Am I right?
There's a lot of inventory here. That's right.
Let's make our viewers understand that for the last 7 or 8 years, you've been collecting golf balls and raising money for the Wounded Warriors Project. Is that right?
Yes, I have.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, it started December the 11th, December the 10th, 2011, when I asked all my friends to go home and find some golf balls they might want to donate because I'm going to start a charity. Got about 5 or 6 guys up in the attic, and we threw some brain work together, and we said, okay, we're going to do it. So we did, and all of a sudden we had golf balls lined up outside my garage, boxes and boxes and boxes.
And it's become a mission.
It's a mission.
And we'll talk about where the money goes here in a few minutes, but let's talk about more about your project and how you get these thousands and thousands of golf balls. How do you do it?
I asked for them.
Sure you do. But there's more to it than that.
Well, I asked for them because there's a need for them.
Right.
To turn them into cash, because Wounded Warriors, as such, the government has failed to put the proper dollar figure on these heroes that are coming back.
You're right.
They're coming back losing arms and legs, and some that don't come back at all, and the ones that need the medical treatment are the ones I feel the worst for.
Well, you're a military man yourself, but let's talk about the displays that you have all around the county where you offer these golf balls as gifts in return for donations.
Well, I have corralled a bunch of people, businesses I call business helpers, and they have given me the space in their businesses. They're big-hearted people, and I have to thank them because every time I go in, I see lots of money in a pretzel jar, and I just shake their hands. I put them on Facebook. I put them on Nextdoor, whatever I can do to patronize those businesses because the money is out there. The people are out there. They just need a method of donating.
Bob, you're touched by that, and I am too. Let's tell our viewers that you've raised, you have to fill in the blank for me thus far.
Well, as of today, since Dave and Holly Williams, my helpers from St. James, just delivered me an envelope with $653 worth of checks and money, has brought the new total up to $192,890. I'm looking at a board on the wall over here in the garage, which I update each and every day, and then I will put it on my Facebook, so all my friends will be advised of the total.
So you've raised almost $200,000, and every bit of that goes to the Wounded Warrior Project.
Every bit. We have partners and we have vice presidents, and we all make the same money, and it's a big zero.
Right. And your modesty won't permit it, but I'll tell our viewers that there's a dinner in your honor just this week, wherein the 3-star general who heads the Wounded Warrior Project will be here to speak and honor you. Is that right?
That's correct. And he's been up here before, and he said he spoke at the American Legion Post 543 in St. James, and my heart goes out to what he does, because he runs the show, and he's willing to take a cut in his salary and everybody else's, and they're still hanging in there and doing their best. So I will never turn him down.
These thousands of golf balls, in one way or another, end up here at your home, but they go through a process, right? It's not just a matter of putting them into these egg crates.
There's a washing process and a grading process, and the bad ones go to the driving range down at Pro T down in Charlotte, and the bad ones go in the trash can, and the good ones, the usable ones, the ones I call previously driven, are in these containers right now. Some people think they're eggs in there, but they're not, and then occasionally a housewife will put them from the table into the refrigerator, not knowing the husband brought home golf balls.
Now,
But
how'd you get the idea of the egg crates?
well, it was just merchandising, I guess. I couldn't put them in bags because all the labels weren't straight enough for me and lined up with the numbers in the right places. So you have to have something to make it look like it's usable, where you would reach in your wallet and take some donations out.
$10 bill.
That's
or
right.
A couple of tens.
A lot of people just donate. They don't need golf balls. A lot of people say, okay, give my golf balls to the next guy that needs them. There's a lot of different people out there doing different things.
Well, what you're doing is a wonderful thing. Let's take a second and let's talk about and honor the wounded warriors who in a large way benefit from your efforts.
Well,
You're a military man, and I'm a veteran myself, so let's talk about that.
well, they need our help. In wars past, they called it different names. We call it PTSD, whether it be shell shock in World War II. They need treatment when they get home. They need medical treatment. They need to be with the others that they serve with. They don't need to be doing bad things and taking their own life. We need to get with these people, and that's one of the things the Wounded Warrior Project does the best. They take care of our veterans,
Right.
and they know the warning signs to watch out for. It's terrible to find a veteran on the parking lot of the hospital because he can't get an appointment and he commits suicide. That has happened. That's not a story I'm making up.
And in these
First of all,
days-
I don't make up any stories.
And in these days, technology allows us to save the lives of many of our veterans. That's the good news, but the bad news is they're horribly wounded.
Yes, yes. The general told me when he came in 2017 at the American Legion, he said, Bob, the money you've sent in not only helps the lives, helps the people live better, but saving lives. You're saving lives with the money. And I said, General, that's what I had in mind.
Thank you, Bob. And in the minute that we have, let's again salute our wounded warriors and ask those that are watching this show, in one way or another, that they can not only check out your golf balls, but they can commit in so many other ways.
Absolutely. Even if you don't golf, why don't you just donate $20 and I'll give you 4 nice dozen golf balls. A stocking stuffer for Christmas is a good thing. Re-gifting is what I'm talking about. You don't need to golf, but we need the money for something very important, and we can't wait for it. Medical is expensive. We just had a recent local here that was taken out to UCLA for a 6-week tour because he had brain damage, and he's doing great. Wounded Warriors did that, and they work on people local as well as all over the country. So hats off to Wounded Warriors and what they're doing. I'm not a employee of Wounded Warriors. I'm just an old sergeant that started the grassroots project.
But you are a hero, and we thank you, Bob Duke, for being with us and supporting the Wounded Warriors Project.
Thank you, Jim.
Again.
Thank you.
Pet education is a 5-week program. We enter the school once a week for 5 weeks to teach the children, all 4th grade students, about the responsibility of pet ownership, about compassion for animals, and about safety around animals.
Let's hear everybody. I can be an advocate for animals.
The community grant received from ATMC is critical to development and running of the pet education program in Brunswick County 4th grade classrooms. Without funds from the ATMC grant, this program could not go to new schools. We could not continue the program in existing schools. Children get something from this program that they're not getting right now. They get a social development. We teach things aside from the animal. It's not all about the animal, but we teach it around the love and companionship and respect of animals. ATMC's involvement means they're putting money back into their community and make it a better place for us all to live.
I'm with the Friends of Fort Caswell Rifle Range. I'm here to interview Ron Eckert, who is with me at this moment, and his wife, Norma Eckert, just a little bit later. Ron, welcome to our program.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate the opportunity to spread the good word.
I've really enjoyed doing a little bit of research and then speaking with you at greater length. Let's make sure our viewers understand what is the Fort Caswell Rifle Range.
It's a concrete structure, almost 200 feet long, has a storeroom on one end, a passageway where the troops would come into the structure and then move to the target pit where they would raise and lower targets.
Right.
That's the remaining portion of the rifle range today, is just that structure.
And so our viewers will know it's not used as a rifle range, it's an historical preservation site.
That's our mission, is to preserve that, stabilize and preserve that structure.
Right. Let's go back and start at the beginning. I'm interested in knowing how you got interest or how you even knew of this site, in as much as it was apparently covered up.
We were working on a community common areas, trying to clean them up and get the brush.
You live close by?
Yes. We live within sight. We can see the structure from our back porch or front porch, however you orient the condo.
Right.
We live here in the wintertime and in West Virginia in the summertime. We have a place up there where we do historical preservation work up there too. But as the group of us, there was 6 or 8 of us that day, as we were evaluating where we were going to work and what was the places that needed work the most and where to start, we said, what are we going to do with this thing? What is this? Look at all these weeds and things. I mean, can we just burn them all down? Or
So there were some concrete structures there and you really didn't know what it was?
We didn't know. Somebody in an earlier time, the military name for that structure would be a rifle butt.
Okay.
That's what they called it. When I first saw that, I thought, what, do they store rifle butts in there? I don't see it.
So the purpose was for training our World War I soldiers?
Yes, before they went to France. The target, or the firing line, was about 300 yards out. And once we get time and the money and the golf course to agree, we want to put a plate out somewhere in the golf course where the firing line was, just so people know. So at that point, it was always called a bunker.
Right.
And so we
understandably,
thought, we've got to understand what this really is. And so we started out with Jim McKee, who is the supervisor of the Fort Anderson out by the Orton Plantation. We asked him what he thought, and he said, I'm not sure, but what I'll do, I'll get the State Historic Preservation Office to come down and look at it, which they did, and which they identified, and then it went from there. We got the permission from the Homeowners Association to form a group that our mission was to stabilize this structure, what's left of it. It was terrible shape and cracked, and as you'll see, if if any of the editing gets in some of the pictures that we brought with us. So we went from there. We started trying to raise money. We had a Kentucky Derby day. Horses on tables about this length. We roll the dice and move the horse. The people were really excited. I mean, how can you be excited over winning a buck on a horse?
Right.
But they were. Now, the mint juleps might have played into that. I'm
Sure.
not quite sure.
Sure.
But so that was the beginning of our fundraising and putting some direction into
But
how
you started in 2011,
2011.
and,
Yes.
and you and others have been very active since then.
Yes.
Very active.
We're coming up on 8 years
Right.
soon.
You have a website. I know you
Yes.
do because I checked it out today, and it's an excellent website. Tell us about it.
We're very proud of it. Our daughter, who has a master's in IT, she's an electrical engineer, she said, I'll play around with this for you, see what I can get. It's awful busy. You have to devote a lot of time to get through it and get all the high points off.
Give our
of it.
viewers your website.
What is it? Fort Caswell riflerange.com. That's
Right.
FT.
Okay. I found it under that. And I want our viewers to know it's an excellent website, very worthy of a good, thorough review.
And we try to keep it updated as we change things. Like the original mission was to stabilize the structure. Now we've had some mission creep, and we're honoring veterans from Brunswick County.
Right. As I understand, and you correct me if I'm wrong, you've gone from the mission of preserving what's there, and you're continuing to do that. But it seems to me your second mission now is to identify and honor these Brunswick Countyans who served in World War I.
Yeah, can you imagine the impact on a county as small as Brunswick back then? I mean, it's physically it's a huge county,
Right.
But it was rural, and there was 700 people went away to go off to war, and 23 never came back. And so whenever we started off on that part of the mission, the World War I Centennial Commission was sending out feelers to see if anybody wanted to apply for $2,000 that you would use and use matching funds to come up with a memorial you could put up. And it just kind of fit. And Norma picked up that ball and took off with it. And
you did receive the Centennial Award.
there was only 100 given out for the year, 2 for North Carolina. The bell tower in Raleigh got one of the awards, and we got the other one.
Right.
Pretty exciting for little old Caswell Beach to get
Fantastic.
something like that.
Yeah. I want to jump back and remind our viewers and ask you as well, too. Think about the life of a soldier in World War I. I read about it today, and it's so different from what we would imagine unless we really give it some thought.
Dr. Norman Sprinthal, who was a professor at North Carolina State, now lives at Caswell Beach, Caswell Dunes. He has really studied this in depth, because that's what doctors do, you know. And what we've seen is that just to survive being in the war without being shot at in those trenches was unbelievable. Mud sometimes up to your knees.
Right.
No rest facilities, no place to go to, and so you were walking in it all day long.
Training was miserable. The muck and the mud was awful. The facilities were non-existent in many places.
Right.
And let's remind our viewers, there was no mechanization. All of this was done with horses, donkeys, on your own feet and otherwise.
Yes,
But
yes.
we didn't have motorized vehicles at the time.
The closest thing we came to was the biplanes that would drop grenades and napalm.
No kidding.
Gasoline.
Okay.
That was the closest thing we came to mechanism until near the end of the war.
Yeah.
The U.S. had really gone very quickly to provide our troops with the proper.
Yeah. Ron, if I'm correct, it was the facility was abandoned through the teens, the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, and even the 50s, and at some point it was discovered again.
It was essentially abandoned after the war, First World War.
Okay, thank you.
Then some years later, people tell us they used it for the Second World War, for training.
Okay.
Probably, in my guess, it's for the people that were there at Fort Caswell, not getting people ready to go off to war. Mm-hmm. And after that war was over, the Second World War, the military didn't want to utilize it as
So
a
it was
rifle
again
range.
abandoned.
It was abandoned that time, and it was 40 years before anybody did anything with it, and that was when the developers came in to develop the town of Caswell Beach
Right.
and put the infrastructure in.
Right. Ron, I want to speak with your lovely wife here in just a minute, but I'll ask you one more question, and then we'll wrap this segment up and do the other. The Baptist Assembly is very close by, am I right? Or was it part of that property originally?
Originally, the Fort Caswell was on the east end of Long
Right.
Island, or Oak Island, whatever you want
Correct.
to call it at the
Yeah.
time. So they had, the town of Caswell Beach has 3 miles on that east end of the island. They tell us that during the time of the military being there, they had a railroad that went 3 miles up along the
How about
edge of the
that?
ocean.
Uh-huh.
And there was sand dunes there in where Caswell Beach is now that were 36 feet above sea level. So it was a perfect backstop for the rifle
I see.
firing. So that would be the impact area in those
I see.
dunes. And whenever they came in and bought the property, we're lucky that the developer came in and kept enough of it just to give us something to do in our old age.
Right. Ron Eckert, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you,
Thank you
Jim.
for all the good work that you're doing.
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you,
you.
sir.
Stay connected with your community channel. Like ATMC TV on Facebook today.
I'm here with Norma Eckert. We're following up on having spoken with your husband, Ron. Want to talk some more about the Fort Caswell Rifle Range. Ron gave us a little bit of history, and I'd like to move a little bit towards some of the more current events with you, Norma. First off, let's talk about the Centennial Commission Award, which your husband alluded to.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Well, I knew about that because of our DAR chapter gave me a page that described it. And I thought, oh, this is too overwhelming. I don't think I want to get into all of that. But actually, $2,000 sounded good whenever you don't have a lot of money
Right.
for a project like ours, which is really needy.
And I want to talk about your fundraising efforts in just a moment.
Yes.
But
But
you and one other from North Carolina received that award in the past year or so. Am I right?
The bell tower up at NC State, they had received it years ago, and I think it was 1921. They put that bell tower up in honor of the men and women that served in World War I. And then they were doing a refresher. They planted all these poppies at the base of the bell tower. And that, I probably did some other things to fill in for the 2,000. But yes, we both received that award. And we're very happy there at Caswell Beach. Our mayor sent us a letter patting us on the back for a job well done. And Amy was instrumental. She said, Mom, you have everything here. You've already done all the work. It's here. It just
Right.
needs to be pulled together. And so she was my director.
You have an event in April. Let's talk about that.
April 6th. It's on a Saturday at 11 o'clock. We are going to pick up where we left off on Veterans Day. We started a year ago on the date that our nation entered World War I. They declared war on Germany. We started naming the men and women that served in World War I from Brunswick County. And we identified 724 men. Now this is anyone that was born in Brunswick County, moved away, came back, signed up for the war. So we accepted everyone that had any contact at all in their life with Brunswick County. And
Help me out. A roll call is a quiet, it's a solemn
Yes.
moment where you simply read the names of those
Yes.
who were a part of this effort.
that's right. And what we did at the first couple of times, we selected from our DAR chapter, people that were instrumental in the Friends of Fort Caswell. And now we're branching out. You know, Mary Earp is going to read names. Her Willits family, her husband's Willits family is in there. And we've received a lot of emails on our website and of people that are asking questions about their families, and they're interested in what they're reading about on the website as well as in the paper.
Mrs. Arp gave me the names of some of the more prominent family names here in the county, and I'll run through some of them very quickly.
Yes.
Hewitt, Williams, Smiths, Galloways, Jones, Milligan, Mintz, Skippers, Stanleys, and Hill, and many others.
Yes.
It should be abundantly clear, but I'm sure you welcome the public to this event.
Yes, and we had a good crowd on Veterans Day this year because we were dedicating the monument that was dedicated to the men and women that served from Brunswick County.
Mm-hmm.
And we also had the men and women, or the men that never made it back home, 23 of them, and their names are engraved on that monument. So it's a big event, and it's something that we thought a while back that we'll wait till everything's finished with the rifle range and the needs of it to stabilize it and expand a little bit more, get the roof on the storage room, things like that. But there were too many people saying, let's go ahead and get a monument. Yeah. Let's get something that's we can be proud of, and we can continue on with this.
Again, for our viewers, April 6th, 11 a.m.
Yes.
You're publishing a book.
Yes.
Let's talk about that for just a second.
Well, we started out with, because we didn't have those 724 names right away. So we asked people to send in any pictures of family members that served in World War I. They didn't have to be from Brunswick County. We called it a Wall of Honor. That's how it started.
And you have the profiles of hundreds and hundreds of those 700 plus, do you
Yes, we do. And then it moved to the ones that our daughter worked. She worked day and night for the month of October in 2017 to identify the 724 Brunswick County men and women that served. And that's when we kicked off the Honor of Veteran project. And if you made any kind of donation, we didn't dictate what you donate. Just give in honor of a member of your family, an uncle, an grandfather, a father, and that's how it started. And that's what helped us to purchase that monument. Right. Was all those people.
So whether you have if you have a descendant, think about a contribution. If you don't, think about a contribution anyway.
Yes. And we're hoping that this event coming up April 6th, we will have all those names that you mentioned and on papers, single papers, like all the Clemens on the paper and Hewitts, and see if we can generate a little interest in those that attend that event to sign up.
Norma Aker, thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's a great project. Thank you for all that you're doing, and I hope to see you on April 6th.
Yes.